fans, do you want to win your share of $100,000? Simply enter the houseofboxing.com Fight Night Prediction Challenge. Compete with boxing fans around the world. Simply head over to houseofboxing.com and sign up now.
This is Charlito Parsons for Boxing Social in association with House of Boxing and Empire Fight Store. Charlito Parsons.
Charlito Parsons. You have completely lost the plot. You're now, they say that the absolute premier sign of arrogance and delusion is referring to yourself as third person. So now you are going to start referring to yourself as Charlito Parsons, which is the most cringe thing I've ever heard in my life.
Just thought I'd do it because I'm in Cancun.
Edward Hernandez, whatever you want to call it. I find it quite cringe. I play along.
You started calling yourself Eduardinho in the third person.
I play along with that for you.
Because you know it does numbers.
No, but mate, what is it with you and numbers?
What is it with you and numbers? You love a cheeky number.
Listen, the first thing you've done today is come up to me and gone, oh, big numbers, our clip yesterday, that's doing big numbers. Literally, the most important thing in your life is TikTok numbers.
Yeah. No, not just TikTok numbers. The YouTube numbers are good. The Instagram. We've got to give respect. It's my boys' brand. Shout out What's Cold. These are quite hard, I mean, you wouldn't be able to pull off a little number like this. Obviously, understandably, a little bit more old, not your market. 20-year-old, young pup.
No, this is very important. When you say I can't pull off a little number like that, have you seen the state of you? Like, do you think you're pulling off a little number like that?
Absolutely.
You have a hat on, right, which says Psycho on it. Come in the shop.
I can't because of William Hill. I'm not allowed because I'm under 25.
Okay, fair enough.
Genuine reason.
It's actually saved your bacon there.
No, so this hat is, Santander, if you're a big fan, obviously. This is his merch range. But I have started to, onboarding the flight, a couple of people going, Psycho. I was thinking, yeah, this isn't great. But it matches with the green. I think I look quite cool.
Awful trainers. I mean, is that what kids do? They have their laces undone?
No, these just sit quite comfortable.
Yeah, but your laces are undone.
Yeah.
That's obviously a thing.
Not a thing, but they just look quite cool and comfortable.
Do they?
Yeah.
They look quite cool, do they? And what are the socks?
These are What's Cold Fuck the Rat socks to match the incredible shorts.
I mean, honestly, the state of the next generation is quite worrying to this country, or to the country of Great Britain. You are the next generation.
Hey, Pepe Gomez would be in a little get-up like this.
Pepe Gomez is a don. What a great man! What a great company, Cancun Boxing. He's hosting a lunch for us today, isn't he? On his boat, which will be
to a yacht.
Yes, there's a lunch with the Matchroom, WBC, Cancun Boxing, and looking forward to. Views aside, TikTok aside, whatever it is you're interested in, tomorrow night is a really, really good night of boxing. The main event is spectacular. Check out the co-main as well, Justis Huni against Andrew Tabiti, great heavyweight fight. Obviously Sugar Nunez, etc. But it's going to be brilliant in Cancun tomorrow night. Really looking forward to it.
Eduardo, let's talk a little bit about that, the main event tomorrow night. We know Rocky Hernandez, 31 knockouts, certainly a man who can really bang. He said actually to me, after the back and forth that the two guys have had, he really wants to go in there with bad intent. Shaki Foster, probably one of the most chilled, relaxed, cool champions out there, in for a real 50-50.
I think there's a lot of people, and his coach Bobby, who obviously represents and works with Regis Prograis, the word is Shaki Foster is one of the best fighters to come out of America, pound for pound quality. If that's the case, it's going to be a really tough night for Rocky Hernandez. What Rocky Hernandez has is tremendous power, great heart. He also has the whole country behind him. I've served this up on a plate for Rocky Hernandez, but I've also got to really like Shaki Foster this week. And I think he's a real cool guy who believes he's the best 130-pounder in the world. And I think people are calling this fight a 50-50. I get that, because of Rocky's power and the fact we're in Mexico, but this kid could be special, Shaki Foster, and I think it's a very tough fight for both. But this is what we need. We need brilliant 50-50 World Championship fights. You've got an American guy turns up, ice cold all week, gets on the scales, looking like me, ripped to shreds, and then you've got Rocky Hernandez comes in looking more like you, sort of rough and ready, and ready to try and take his head off tomorrow night. But it's not just that simple in boxing. It's not just about, I've got power, I'm going to walk him down, I'm going to knock him out. When you've got the skills of Shaki Foster, but you've got to do it for 12 rounds. And avoiding that lunatic for 12 rounds is going to be very hard work. It's a great, great fight.
Well, I don't think I'll ever be compared to Rocky Hernandez again, so I'll take that one. I can certainly punch like him. Let's talk a little bit about the co-main event. Justis Huni and Andrew Tabiti. Huni, sorry.
It's not H-O-N-E-Y, it's H-U-N-I.
Okay, Justis Huni. Interviewed him. He's too relaxed to be a boxer, but we know that he can really, really fight. Andrew Tabiti's had to wait his turn. This fight was obviously scheduled prior. I think he's been in the gym since May time. Really ready. This is sort of another real 50-50, really.
Really good heavyweight fight. I mean, Justis Huni is a special fighter. People know who grew up on the amateur scene with him. You know, obviously had his place in the Olympics. Didn't take that because he wanted to turn professional. He's boxed at a very high level. Don't forget he beat Joe Goodall recently, who's just had a big win in America. He's fighting Efe Ajagbo now. And he's a very good fighter. He beat him really easily. But Tabiti's another level to that. Tabiti, got knocked out for the World Cruiserweight Championship, but was in the World Boxing Super Series, moved up, has had a couple of good wins at heavyweight. This is a very dangerous fight. People talk about 50-50. I do think Justis Huni is the favourite going into this fight, but it's a really, really good matchup in the heavyweight division. And two guys that are fast, have power, like to move, and a good skill matchup in the heavyweight division. And if Justis can come through, I think you've got one of the top prospects in the world.
Edward, let's talk a little bit about tomorrow's fight. Obviously, we went quite in depth on it yesterday. Just a little bit since then, we saw the press conference. We've now seen the weigh-in. John Fury delivers again. Now, it's not for everyone, right? But from a numbers world, it's absolutely fantastic. I genuinely love the man. I think having him and you on an interview, I could just retire instantly. He's gone and faced off with Ngannou himself. He's called out Mike Tyson for a fight. He's not for everyone, excuse me, but I bloody love him.
Yeah, I think for the type of event and fight it is, and just like the Misfits. I mean, I'm not saying this is Misfits, but it has that kind of feel to it. It's like an exhibition. It's a bit of a freak show, and for that, John Fury is perfect. I mean, you never know with John whether he's actually lost the plot or he's just completely having everyone on. And I think probably the latter. I think he's great entertainment. I think he's made, he should really be getting paid for the Misfits show, and probably this week as well.
Because they might stick him on Misfits, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you see Tyson fight Usyk, I think John might take a little bit of a step back because they know Ngannou can't beat him, so it's all fun and games and having a laugh. But look, I think we need more entertainment. We need more characters in boxing, and I think if you worry about what people say about you, which I don't think John Fury does, then he probably wouldn't behave like that. Because but fuck it, who cares? Be yourself, have a laugh, and it's massively cringe, but the whole thing's cringe, and Misfits was cringe. So he is playing up in the cringe world and doing a great job.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just on that, he did offer Mike Tyson out, which is a mad sentence in itself.
I saw the clip. Mike Tyson didn't really know what to say.
Mike Tyson was laughing his head off.
I know. Yeah, I'm not sure that would go very well for John Fury, that fight. Even Mike Tyson, how old are these boys now? 60, 55, yeah. You never know in this mad world, mate. You never know in this mad world.
Weigh-in results, we can't take too much from it, but we're going to go with it anyway. 277 for Tyson Fury and 272, I think, for Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, that changes everything. That changes everything. I don't even know. I mean, the only thing I'm interested in is Tyson looks quite slim, I think. What did he come in to fight Derek at, do you know? You wouldn't know because, again, you have no journalistic integrity. But, yeah, I think as I said to you yesterday, I think Tyson realises Usyk doesn't really want the fight on December 23, or say doesn't want the fight, won't be ready or won't be 100%, and I think he's jumping all over it. But, his argument will be if he comes out of this fight unscathed, which is more than likely, he's fit and ready could have a little week off and then go straight back into camp, and his weight's good. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. I saw Bakole's weight. That was interesting.
I was just about to ask you, 300 and something pounds for Martin Bakole. That's 20 pounds more than last fight. When he fought Kuzmin, he was 250.
Was he? Well, Billy Nelson's done well to lose all his weight. Maybe he's giving it to Martin. He should beat Takam easily, but that's a bit weird. Don't know. But he's a good fighter, Martin Bakole, and I think he'll deal with Takam comfortably.
Cheeky curveball in there. Let's talk about the co-main event. Fabio Wardley, a good friend of yourself and Matchroom Boxing, he fights David Adeleye, goes into that fight as the favourite. That's something that's had a lot of fire in the build-up. 4 belts on the line, I think, in that one. Obviously, we've discussed about the British and all of that being on the line, but what's your final prediction ahead of that one?
It's a good fight. I think that I don't really know a lot about Adeleye. I mean, we've had a couple of back and forths. Like, I watched the Sokolowski fight. I felt like most people that he lost that fight, but that was a while ago now. He's always had a decent reputation, but he's never really boxed at the level. Well, he hasn't boxed at the level of Fabio Wardley, but Fabio's still a little bit green. He can get hit, he can get hurt early, but he's very sharp. He's a sharp shooter, and I think he's got a smart boxing brain. I think mentally he's up for this, and obviously we're behind him, and I think he wins the fight by knockout, and I think he does it within 6 rounds.
A couple more from me. You've obviously got the whole of 2023 done, potentially a December 23 date. I mean, that's the only slot you've got free, right? And it would potentially be Anthony Joshua. Probably 2024, which brings me on to my question. Are there pipeline plans now? We know that you've done that deal in Japan. When does that expect to take off? Have you got an idea of what you want for January, February, March?
That was underway a couple of weeks ago. Look, there's a couple of key fights that we want to try and make, and then you kind of build a schedule around that. Dimitri Bivol out in early January. We want to make, obviously, Ben Eubank for January as well. Lock in Anthony Joshua's return, whether that's December, January, or we go straight into the Wilder fight. I'd like to make Jack Catterall against Josh Taylor. I would think the fight with Lee Wood against Josh Warrington, a rematch, is a great fight for the City Ground.
Is that likely?
I think so. We're talking to Nottingham Forest at the moment, and I think that's the fight, that or Joe Cordina. Obviously, Joe Cordina, if he wins next week, see who wins this fight, make that unification. Then all of a sudden, you've got 4 or 5 big fights, see what happens between Cameron Taylor, and then you start building the schedule around that globally. Japan will be in January as well. We'll announce that soon. You know the plans there. It's going to be unbelievable.
Are you going to be going out for that?
Yes. Yeah, be there. Yeah. Of course.
Oh, can you tell Boxing Social to send me to Tokyo?
Konnichiwa, Tokyo, January. I won't give the date away, but yeah, January. So just ready for another huge schedule. Looking at the dates from the 13th of January, we will basically be going every week. How far are we up to already? March, probably, in our draft plans. So yeah, looking at a big schedule, looking to push fighters into taking the right fights, but the biggest fights, the most competitive fights, and looking to announce a schedule. I mean, obviously we know we got Mexico this week, Monaco next week, Newcastle week after, LA, Dublin, Belfast, San Fran, Phoenix, all in a row. And coming off the back of particularly that run of Cameron against Taylor, that huge Belfast card with Conlon, Haney against Prograis, and Bam against Sonny, we really want to pick up next year and hope to announce probably in November a schedule for fight fans from January, February, and even into March, and maybe going into May or June if we've got some of those flagship fights locked in. So that's the plan at the moment, and all systems go for 2024.
Sleep when we're dead. You mentioned Joe Cordina. Just a quick prediction for the guys at House of Boxing for his fight next week.
Yeah, Edward Vasquez is very tough. I mean, he lost a tight decision to Ray Fall. Go and watch that fight back. Like, a lot of people felt he could have won that fight. He's a very tough, rugged fighter. But Joe is super sharp. I mean, I rate Joe Cordina as the best 130-pounder in the world. We'll see who wins this Saturday. I think that's a natural unification to make. But I expect a statement from Joe Cordina. I think he wins the fight by stoppage in the first 6 rounds and calls out the winner of Saturday. So a big moment for him. Get that defence in, and then hopefully bring a major unification either outdoors to Cardiff or Las Vegas or New York in the spring, summer of 2024.
Eduardo, the energy has been immaculate today. Big up yourselves. We're now off to swan it about on a yacht. Life is absolutely mad. Final message for the people. We're getting on to Christmas time. It is hot here, but it's not as hot at home. People aren't as happy as they were. Perk them up a little bit.
Look, we have to be real, don't we? We can't. I think there's too much stuff across social and too much inspirational stuff and so much positivity and memes.
That's you.
Yeah, it is, but we can't just pretend to ourselves that everything's okay and everything's going to be fine and we're not going to hit any roadblocks or we're not going to hit any problems. I was actually thinking to myself yesterday that, I was going through some problems, obviously dates and contracts and like there is always going to be a problem. There is always going to be struggle. But it's really how you deal with it. And the problem is really only big as you make the problem. You know what I'm saying? Some problems are bigger than others. But every day or every week there is going to be some kind of problem, some kind of issue, some kind of event that's going to get you down or could get you down. But also we have to be real. We can't just say, don't worry about that, snap out of that, get yourself fit in the gym and nothing will be a problem. Like I think that's unrealistic. But it's the way that you overcome those hurdles, the way that you overcome those problems. I think if you are sharp and you are in shape and you are training and you are getting your rest and you're preparing yourself, it's a lot easier to overcome those problems. So what I would like to say is stay active, keep fit, understand that problems will come in some aspect every day or every week or every month, but that's called life. We've got to be robust enough, we've got to be resilient enough to deal with that. We've got to be positive, we've got to put more emphasis on being happy. And i.e., when I say being happy, for me, happiness and success is a feeling. It used to be something that I could sort of say that I've hit or done or, you know, sadly, bought maybe in my earlier years. But it's actually, for me now, as I get a little bit older, it's a feeling. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter what you've got. It's great to have great things, and it's great to have a great career, and it's great to make money and achieve and create a legacy and be able to support your family and generations beyond and put your kids in proper education, all that kind of stuff. But really, for the short period of time that you're on this life, your own personal feeling should be a lot more important to you. And what that means is when you wake up in the morning, how do you feel in here? How do you feel in here? Do you know what I mean? And I think if you can go through life and feel good in here and good in here, you've always got to think about, and I thought this one day, you know, when my granddad passed away, I think about 5 years ago now, he spent his last few days in a hospice, and I was looking at him and I was thinking, this life is a mad old game. We talk about those problems and those obstacles and those hurdles, but yet in your final passing hours, you must think to yourself, did it all really matter? Those problems that I had, you know, when I was stressed about that, or I had that couple of years in my life where I just don't feel I really lived my life to the full, and I was always a little bit cautious, wasn't I? And I was always a little bit worried, and I was always a little bit stressed. You know that when you have those final moments, that is what you'll be thinking. You know that. So therefore, live a life that when you are in those final moments, you look back and you go, I got it right, or I got it as close to right as I could have. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we went on a bit there.
I like that.
I just think it's really important because life will pass you by so quickly. I'm 44. Next thing I know it, I'll be in my 50s. Next thing I know it, I'll be in my 60s. My back will be playing up. Probably be forgetting things. Who knows? Like, I might not make 50. God willing, I will. But I might pass in my 60s, 70s, 80s. But you know that in those moments, I think you've always got to remember. And when I looked at him on that bed, I thought to myself, I wonder what's going through his head now. You know? You're about to leave the earth. All your time on this world has gone. And you look back and you go, that was mad. And when you read that story back to yourself in those passing moments, make sure it's a story worth reading. I think that's important. And the other thing I will say, which has been bothering me a little bit in the last couple of days, is I think, you know, when you look about the madness that's happening in our world at the moment, you know, whether it's the problems in Israel and Palestine and Gaza, whether it's the shooting in Maine, like, we have become so desensitized to stuff. And I think we've got to be really careful, like, how can we now live in a world where we will read something, I'm guilty of it, we all are, and it's like, you know, mothers and children murdered or killed in a country, and you go, oh, that's terrible, and you go on to the next thing, you know, like, I don't know, it's a bit of a left field one there, but I just feel like, and you know, you read about that shooting of, what was it, 20 people killed, 16 in, I mean, oh, well, that's terrible, that is. You know, we've got to be really careful not to just become so desensitised and stuff that nothing matters anymore. because then the right and wrong thing becomes irrelevant. Do you know what I mean? I know nothing about the situation with Israel, and all I know is I pray to God it stops, because it's so heartbreaking to see.
Fatalities.
But we do have a mentality, and I think everyone's guilty of it, of just saying, well, that's not my life. But I mean, I think we've become a little bit selfish and as I said, desensitised to just, that's happening over there. We really got to make sure that we look after each other, whatever the background, whatever the mindset, whatever the country, the religion. We're all here, as I said, just for that one moment of life. So if we can respect each other, great. I know that's very difficult, but anyway, that's enough from me. I'm going out in the sun.
We are indeed. Eduardo, thank you for the lovely, wholesome finish. That was nice, and I'm sure that will perk up a couple of people's days. As always, top man for speaking to us at Boxing Social. Go on, you're going to say something. See, I know you are.
It was wholesome, wasn't it?
Yeah, but you were just banging on about wholesomeness. You love my cheeky little wholesome days when I'm in the Cotswolds. Hold up though, chasing serotonin when I'm going up and doing them little hikes, you respect it.
Walks, hikes, all that kind of stuff.
They're wholesome though.
Love it. Yeah, the wholesome's an interesting word, but chasing serotonin is not something you will hear come out of my voice. But hikes, walks, fresh air. Take some time we all do this, right? We all do this. Start doing this. And looking, and I keep trying to say to myself. The other day I went outside to the beach here in Cancun out the front, and I was on a call, and I was and about half an hour. I thought, I'm going back inside now, and I looked up and I went, wow, this place is unbelievable. I was out there for half an hour. I didn't even look. Keep your head up and open your eyes and look at the world around you and how special it is, and that is enough.
Eduardo, the Brentwood serotonin chasing Chava, thank you for speaking to us at Boxing Social.